report that was released showed that there were 38 fatalities of abuse or neglect. And as this chart shows here, you can see the trends starting over here in 2003 all the way up to 2010. You can see where there has been a steady decline, 1 year a little bit lower, but a steady decline. That's in the blue. In the yellow show those where the department has been involved. So you see in the report in 2004, there were 57 fatalities that the department was involved with, where there was abuse and neglect. You'll also see in 2004, that last report showed there were 9 fatalities that the department was involved with. And in 2004, there were 19 fatalities that the department was involved with. So you see this report showing 2004, before the administration, 19 down to 4, and last year it was 9, where the department was involved in. Now that shows significant progress in the issue of safety on abuse and neglect cases. Now, of those 25 cases, 19 were determined to be the result of abuse. 6 were determined to be the result of a neglect. And you'll see those broken out in the report. Now, this year's report is the first year that we have used the National Center for Child Death Review Case Reporting System. That's a nationally recognized system. 75% of the states use that system. It provides a consistent and common manner for those states using it to actually identify and then record those cases where a child fatality is involved. Now the report also continues to include the statistical information, and I'll review that in a minute. But a couple of years ago, we started adding little statements or vignettes about those particular deaths, so that there was a clear understanding of the risk and the injury that occurs to children resulting in a death. We believe that's important that the public know what these deaths are the result of. Just a few points about the report so that there's some clear understanding of what this report reveals. First of all, of those 25 deaths, 22 of those deaths involved children under the age of 5. So 22 of those 25 are children under the age of 5 years old. 17 of those involve children 3 and under. What that tells us is our very youngest and most vulnerable are those most at risk of a child fatality. Second, 22 of those 25 deaths involve a home where there's a single parent or a man and woman involved in living together. Of those 22 families, 18 of those families were involved a man and a woman living together. 4 of those were single parent. What that tells us, frankly, is that children are most safe when a man and woman are married living together. Finally, of those 25 deaths, 18 of those involve some use of a weapon or some physical beating of a child. Sometimes a shaken baby, but the most normal kind of injury is a traumatic head injury. Now, any death of a child is tragic and devastating, not only to the family, but to the community. And while this report indicates that progress has been made, even one death is unacceptable. The dedicated men and women of the Department of Child Services throughout the state are continuing to do everything they can to ensure that children are safe and that they have safety, permanency, and well-being as a part of their family dynamic. This report again shows progress in these 2 main areas. Total number of deaths, 25 and 4. Both of those are record state lows. So we have made progress along the way. And while you're here, I just want to talk briefly about some other topics that are connected in some way to the issue of child fatalities. First of all, let me say that I am extremely proud to be a member of this department and a partner with the over 1,500 case managers who every day knock on doors, step over a threshold, make an assessment in often deplorable, chaotic conditions and sometimes dangerous conditions. They do that because they are dedicated and committed to helping and taking care of children when we have an allegation of abuse and neglect and enter into the family's environment. I'm proud of the work that's been done. I just wish that somehow there were a way to quantify the good work that is done, and that would be a great story to tell about all of the successes that have occurred. Lately, there have been two issues that have been talked about that I wanted to address. Frankly, for the most part, because there have been some misrepresentations about them. The first, briefly, is about the centralized hotline. Now, this hotline was developed and in place for the first time in calendar year 2011. As a result of that, we received over 140,000 phone calls. 97,500 families actually received an assessment or a referral for services where the department actually provided help and assistance for that family. In 2004, we had a system, still the 1-800 number, where a phone call made to the hotline went to one of the local offices and from there may have gone to any one of 350 different locations. Different people answering the phone, recording information or not, and making independent decisions. A centralized hotline has specially trained case managers who have gone through extensive training on asking the right questions, following a protocol and process, asking follow-up questions, and then making a decision or determination whether this case that is called in should be sent for an assessment. When they make that assessment, within a very short period of time, within a day, a supervisor reviews that call to make sure that it has gone, if it's a screen out, as according to policy. If there's a screen out, it's also reviewed by a committee. Those screen outs that day are sent to the local office where it is available to either a screen out committee. The prosecutors have been notified that they have access to those. So those screen outs, in fact, when they occur, are absolutely reviewed. To give you an example, in 2004, there were some 46,000 screen outs, but that's 41%, a little over 41% of all of the screen outs that have occurred. Last year, we screened out 38%. We actually now screen out fewer, but the fact is that almost twice the number of families received a contact or a referral from the department in 2011. The screen out is the practice of more than 30 states. And the process of having a centralized system is the practice in, again, more than 30 of those states. Another topic that's been talked about is FCM turnover, our case manager turnover. And there's been some very misleading information about that. The fact is that last year our FCM turnover rate was 17.5%. In 2007 it was 19%. In 2004, I know in Marion County the turnover rate was over 35%. It's been reported that somehow it's 50%. But the fact is that the turnout in our department in 2011 was 17%. Now, while I mention all of that, I also want to point out the tremendous success and improvements that have been made over the last number of years. First of all, more families and children are being seen more often by DCS case managers than ever before. 96% of our families are being seen every month. More children are being adopted or receiving permanency than ever before. Last year, the state of Indiana set a record of 1,787 adoptions. That's a state record. More children than ever are placed with relatives or siblings. In fact, 74% of siblings are now placed together. That's a 20% increase in just a few years. More calls alleging child abuse and neglect are being taken and assigned than ever before. I've already given you those numbers. And finally, the child welfare organizations around the country are recognizing Indiana for the efforts of its case managers. This fatality report is being released today, as we normally do in the spring, because we want to make sure that as soon as we get this information compiled and available, it's available to the community, to the citizens and others who are interested in this report, so we can continue to make informed decisions as a community, as a state, on what is happening to our children and how we can prevent child abuse and neglect. I would encourage everyone listening to make sure they know our 1-800 number, 1-800-800-5556. That is a number to call to talk to a professionally trained responder to give it information when you suspect abuse and neglect. As you see in this report, and as I've talked about the data, the best thing that our citizens can do is, as family and extended family, be involved in the life of a child. Know your family, particularly those who are very young. As I indicated, 22 out of 25 of these child deaths occur with children under the age of 5. They are most at risk, and the best people to take care of that child, first of all, are the family, but then the extended family, particularly in these difficult economic times, to make sure that the stressors that are available and happening to many of our members of our community and our state are actually receiving the support they need. There is no substitute for families taking care of families.